Greetings and welcome to the channel. My name is Dr. Narcissistic, transformational coach here at Inner Mileage, where we help folks heal, optimize, and transform their lives to live their best lives right here, right now. Today, we're going to be talking about the father wound as it relates to narcissistic abuse and breaking free. Father wound as it relates to narcissistic abuse and breaking free. So, of course, you didn't choose to be caught in a toxic cycle with a narcissist. But if you're here listening, something deep inside you already knows that it's not just about the father wound or the father. It's about you. It's about something that started long before this relationship, even before you had the words to describe it. It's a wound you've carried your whole life, buried under the need to be loved, to be seen, and to be chosen. This is the father wound. And until you heal it, you will keep finding yourself in relationships that reflect it. Today, we're going to go very deep into the origin of this wound, how it shapes your choices, and how it keeps you trapped in narcissistic relationships. But most importantly, we're going to talk about how to break free once and for all. So, what is the father wound? The father wound is a deep psychological and emotional imprint left by an absent, neglectful, or abusive father figure. It's not just about whether your father figure was physically there. It's about whether he was emotionally available, protective, and nurturing. And when a father fails to provide love, security, and validation, the child learns one thing: I am not enough. And that belief, it becomes the foundation of why you ended up in relationships with narcissists. So let's look at this from a multidisciplinary perspective, right? So research on attachment from John Bowlby and others show that children of absent fathers or abusive fathers develop anxious or avoidant attachment styles, both of which attract narcissistic partners. Again, the brain's reward system learns to associate love with discomfort, creating a craving for unavailable, rejecting partners. And then trauma bonding forms when emotional highs and lows mimic childhood patterns. If you think about the neuroscience and trauma, children with emotionally absent fathers show increased cortisol levels, creating hypervigilance and a tendency to overanalyze and a deep fear of abandonment. This might relate to you because cortisol creates that acidic sense of feeling. And the nervous system adapts to instability, making normal relationships feel unaligned. In the Kabbalah, when the divine masculine, the chokmah, is absent, the world falls into disorder. In ancient Egypt, in the myth of Horus, it shows a son forced to reclaim his power after the loss of his father Osiris, mirroring our need to heal the wounded masculine within us. And in Taoism, a lack of yang, which is masculine energy, results in imbalance, leading to destructive cycles in love and power. So how does a father wound keep you trapped with a narcissist? Well, let's be real. Narcissists don't just choose anyone. You're a target. They choose people with unhealed wounds, and the father wound is one of the biggest vulnerabilities that keeps us trapped in their web. And some of the reasons why is because the narcissist feels familiar. If your father was emotionally unavailable, you learn that love means proving your worth. And narcissists exploit this, making you chase the approval while withholding love. Then there's the fear of abandonment, which leads to a tolerance of abuse. So if you were abandoned or neglected as a child, you may fear being alone more than being mistreated. And narcissists can sense this, and they use it to control you. Now, there's also this notion of seeking validation from the wrong places. Because when your father didn't validate you, you learn to seek validation from difficult people. And the narcissist love bombing feels intoxicating because it mirrors the attention you always wanted from your father. It does. And as a result, if your father didn't model healthy boundaries, you may not know how to enforce them, allowing narcissists to walk all over you. So this is how the cycle pervades and continues. So how do you escape this cycle? How do you heal the father wound to break free from the narcissist in your life? This is not for the faint of heart, but here it goes. It requires reparenting yourself first and foremost. What does this mean? It means engaging in inner child work with a certified coach like myself. And if I can be of help to you, type transform in the comment section or send me a message at nan@innermanage.com. You may also work with a certified or licensed other mental health professional. So engaging in inner child healing or inner child work, such as writing letters to your younger self, reframing childhood narratives, is key. That you know that the body keeps score, so all kinds of somatic healing, whether it's working out or yoga or Reiki or energy healing, helps to release stored trauma in the body. And then developing self-validation practices, such as refusing to seek approval from those who refuse to give it, is a way to call back your power to yourself. Then it's also important to redefine what masculinity is, reclaiming your inner power. So if your father was weak, cruel, or absent, create a new masculine archetype within you. Connect with divine masculine energies, whether through mythology, meditation, or mentors who can help reframe this new narrative and archetype you're creating for yourself. Then strengthen your own inner father, become your own source of strength, discipline, and protection. And then also learn to cut the trauma bond by embracing true freedom. Recognize that a narcissist is not your father, and you do not need to win their love. Learn to thrive alone. Really build independence and heal your codependency and establish new boundaries. For example, if someone disrespects you and it's egregious, then they lose access to you. It's as simple as that, right? You don't play games with your healing. And when you are forlorn about this father wound, you will tend to project that parental figure onto the various narcissists in your life, whether they're intimate relationships, professional relationships, social relationships. It's because there's this unacknowledged part of you that desires parenting and validation from the male archetype, the supreme male archetype in your life, which is the father figure. And if that's not there, you begin to give away your power to undeserving entities. So you realize that the way around this is to begin to see yourself as already whole. And recognize that even with your father, if you have a father wound, there's a presence of a trauma bond, vacillating between mild forms of approval and a lot of rejection. So this feeling of highs and lows have conditioned you, because of your addiction to it, to seek that in other relationships that are varied from this paternal wound that you have. And all of this happens in a subconscious and even unconscious way. And this wound may even affect how you yourself show up as a parent, if that's available to you. So if you're a father, you have father wounds, ultimately, without addressing them, this affects the way you parent your children, especially if you have sons. And the same will be true for the mother wound, which I'll cover in another video, if you have daughters. And this is how generational cycles and patterns get repeated. Because remember, your father has had their father wound from their father, which they transferred to you, which created a father wound in you. And without your awareness of it, you're going to transfer this to your children, who will now have a father wound, which they would also pass on to their children. And this is how that cycle of curses and generational traumas persist over time. So it's important to realize that the father wound does not define you. It's not your fate to repeat the past. You're not destined to keep loving people who hurt you. The moment you decide to heal, to reclaim your worth, and to walk away from toxic love, you become free. And you recognize this journey isn't about fixing yourself, it's about finding yourself, the real you, the powerful you, the you that was never broken, only waiting to be set free. Remember to hit the notification bell so you can receive updates whenever we post new videos. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. And remember, you're not the sum total of your father wound. You're more than that. And the sooner you reconnect to the new archetypes within you and redefine it, the higher you ascend. Peace.